Hello everyone, Tina here. I hope your day is going wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me. Well, today we're going to create a project for Paper Tray Ink. We're going to create a welcome baby card, and we're going to be using a brand new stamp set that kind of stole my heart. It's super cute. It's called Build a Lion. There's lots of fun elements in the stamp set that you can mix and match and build all kinds of little lions. And there's also a fabulous coordinating die set that we'll be using for our project today. So along with the Build a Lion stamp set, to create our background, we're going to be using one of the stencils in the Night Sky background set. These are two fabulous stencils, and I think we're going to be using this one for our background. So I'm going to keep that out. And then for my sentiment for my project today, we're going to be using the little one stamp set. There's a lot of fun scene building elements in here, and so I thought this would be perfect to pair with the Build a Lion. There is a coordinating die set to go with the little one stamp set, and we're going to be using that as well. Also for my background, I thought we'd bring back the skinny star frames. I love this frame set. I'm a frame girl. I love framing my projects, and so we're going to bring this back as well. And then I'm also going to use one of the elements in the bookmark die set. This is not part of the new release, but the rest of the items that I'm using today are part of the brand new release over at Paper Tray Ink. So if you haven't had a chance to check it out, I think you're going to be I think you're going to have fun with it. Let's jump in, and we are going to start by creating our background with our night sky, because it's going to take a little bit of time to dry. To create our background, I'm going to be using a little sparkle. This is Ranger's Moon Dust Stickles, and I thought we would create almost like a tone-on-tone sparkly background for our project today. Now I'm going to bring in a piece of Hawaiian Shores Cardstock, and I had trimmed this down to a panel, and this measures a little bit over 3.5 inches by 4 3/4. Now this is going to fit behind one of my my frames, and so I thought we would use this for our project today. I'm going to bring in my craft mat, and then also my palette knife, and then I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see. I went ahead and taped down my stencil directly over my Hawaiian Shores Cardstock, and then we're going to go ahead and just add our glitter gel right over our stencil for a nice sparkly background. Okay, I have my moon dust spread all over my cardstock. I'm going to remove my tape, and then I'm going to carefully lift this up. I'm going to wash this with some hot soapy water, and then we are going to set our background aside to dry. And you can see this. You can see the sparkle. It's almost like a tone-on-tone with a little texture and sparkle. So I'll set this aside to dry and then wash my stencil, and I'll be right back. While our background is drying, we are going to do a little bit of stamping and die cutting with our Build a Lion. And we're going to start with our face. We're going to stamp on white cardstock, and we're going to start by stamping our lion face. And to do this, whoops, I think I need to add a little bit more adhesive here. Okay. For our lion face, I'm going to be using orange Zest ink. And we're going to ink up the base. Actually, you know what? Let's take the body of our lion too. Let's do both at once. Better do it this way. Better. And then we'll ink both of these up at the same time. I think that will work out a little bit quicker. I want to stamp this. Lovely. So after we have this done, we will clean off our images, and then we're going to go in for our next layer. I'm also going to add our second piece that goes on our lion body here. Now these are the cheek pieces. We're going to stamp those separate. So let's pick this up with the lid of our Misty. And for these elements, I'm going to bring in my Harvest Gold ink, and we'll just ink these up and stamp these as well. We'll stamp these a few times also. We're going to use some golds and oranges for our lion today. Okay, I think that looks good. We'll go ahead and clean these off. And then there's a second piece that we can add to our little paw prints. Okay, now we're going to stamp the inside of the ears, the cheeks, both the inside of the feet or the paws, and then we're also going to add some elements to the body and then to the lion's face here. So we're going to do a few different sections. We're going to start by, I forgot the tail, so we're going to start by doing that. Now after we have our, there is a second part to our tail, but we're going to stamp that after we die cut it, just to make sure it's centered. And then we're going to go over the ears and our cheeks with our Harvest Gold ink. And we'll also go over and we'll stamp these. Good deal. And then for the paws or the feet, we're going to go ahead and ink those up, but we're going to bring back our orange zest, and we'll stamp this a couple times. Go over this one more time. And then we have some elements that we want to stamp on our lion body and also on our lion face. To do that, I'm going to bring in my True Black ink and we'll ink those elements up. And we're going to add some detail to our lion. Oh, I am loving the way this is turning out so far. And last but not least, we're going to take the whiskers for our lion. And we're going to stamp this also with our True Black ink. So we'll just close this. If you wanted to die cut out your whiskers, you could, but I'm going to go ahead and just directly stamp them on our little lion. Now that we have all of our elements stamped, we're going to do a little bit of die cutting. So let's take our panel. I'm going to go ahead and tape down the coordinating dies to all of our elements, and for the mane we're going to be using the dies. You can of course stamp your mane if you wanted to, but I thought we would use the die cut one. We're going to be using Summer Sunrise cardstock for the top piece of our mane, and then for the main detail, the background piece, we're going to be using our orange zest. So I want to run all of these through my die cut machine and I will be right back. Now after we have all of our elements die cut, I'm going to go ahead and finish off stamping my tail. So we'll take the image that kind of looks like a little flame. I'm going to bring back my Harvest Gold ink, and we'll stamp this right over our little lion's tail. And then our lion's tail is finished. Now this is the fun part. I do want to add a little bit of ink around the edges of my lion's mane. So we'll bring in our craft mat, and I'm going to bring in my orange zest. just using a finger dauber, we're going to add a little bit of highlighting. Not too much, because I really want that yellow to come through. But I just kind of want to coordinate the ink with the die cut. This is a great way to do that, and then add a little bit of depth also. So we have a little bit of highlight along our lion's mane. Now's the fun part. Let's build a lion. I'm going to go ahead and add some tape behind the top piece of our mane. We'll tack that down over our background piece. And then we have our lion body. We're going to add a little bit of adhesive. We'll tack this down. Lovely. Now for the lion face, we're going to add some foam actually we're going to use some foam circles. We'll add a couple here. This is going to go in the center of our lion. After we have this done, we're going to go ahead and add our, before we pop this up, I want to stamp our little lion's eyes. And we'll go ahead and ink up our little lion eyes. And we'll stamp these as well. Good deal. I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of adhesive behind my lion body, and we'll add our tail. I went ahead and put my lion feet on, adjusted my tail, and then we're going to add our lion nose. And voila, he looks so adorable. So our lion is done. It didn't take too long at all. Now we're going to create our background. Okay, before we start our background, we're going to go ahead and they're in our little one stamp set. There is a welcome, and then there's a little one. I put the welcome on a block and then the little one. We're going to stamp the welcome with true black ink, and then I'm going to do a little bit of heat embossing with the little one. So we'll stamp our first part, and the nice thing about the coordinating die set is you can die cut out the word welcome. So let's go ahead and tape this down. Now while we're doing our die cutting for our sentiment, we'll tape that down. We're going to die cut out a couple of clouds. There's a large one and a small one, and we will die cut those out. Now there is images in your stamp set. We're not going to stamp color on these. We're just going to die cut out the clouds. And I'm also going to there's a little heart that I want to die cut out. So let's take that and some red cardstock and die cut out about 3 hearts that are in the little one stamp set, and then we're going to die cut out a heart from our bookmark die set with our red cardstock. The red cardstock that I'm using is Pure Poppy. I'm going to use this heart here. We're going to die cut that out. And when I'm done die cutting, since we're doing all of our die cutting also, I'm going to take some white cardstock, and using my star frames, we're going to die cut out a set of white frames. I went ahead and die cut out my heart, and while I was at it, I went ahead and heat embossed the little one on my bookmark heart. And then I did add foam adhesive behind my welcome that we die cut out. I'm going to layer welcome in the center just above the little one. After we have our welcome adhered, I'm going to bring in some baker's twine, and I'm going to thread it through our sentiment. And I'll tie a knot and a bow. And our sentiment is ready. Okay, we have our frames. You can see it, our skinny star frames. Well, you can actually punch out those stars on the border. I want a solid white frame, so I'm taking the next size under, and we're going to use this on our project today. So we're not actually going to add stars, we're going to just add the frame. We're going to bring in our stenciling that we did with our night sky background. You can see we have some sparkly stars. I'm going to take my frame, add some adhesive behind here. Once we have our frame adhered to our stenciled background, I have that same color of Hawaiian Shores Cardstock. This is just an A2 panel, which measures 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. I'm going to directly adhere this to the front of my card base. And so my card front is completely covered with that same cardstock. Now, after we have that adhered, I am going to flip over this panel and we're going to add some foam tape behind it. I'll go ahead and remove the release paper, and we'll adhere. I want to adhere this to our card front at an angle, and then we can add our lovely little lion, which I think he is so cute. I'm going to use my tape runner. And we'll adhere him. I think that's a good spot. We have our clouds. I do want to pop up. Actually, we're not going to pop our clouds up. Let's do a little tucking with these. Add some adhesive behind our clouds. Cute. And then I have those 3 little hearts that we die cut out. There is a heart image in our little one stamp set, but I just chose to die cut out the hearts with the pure poppy cardstock. I'm going to add little dots of glue, and we're going to adhere some hearts to our clouds. And I'm going to add a little bit of adhesive behind here, and we'll do a little tucking. And for finishing touches, we are going to add some glossy accents to the eyes of our lion. This is going to give our lion's eyes dimension. We're going to go over the nose of our lion also. And then also the paws. Glossy accents will go on cloudy. It looks like a cloudy up my little lion's eyes. But when it dries, it'll dry dimensional and clear, which is really nice. And then we're going to add diamond stickles for a little bit of sparkle over the hearts that are on our clouds, kind of bringing in some more of that background sparkle, which we covered up for the most part, but I love it peeking behind the clouds. Well, that finishes off my project today for Paper Tray Ink. Fun little baby card. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful rest of your week, and we will see you soon.